Sometimes, the loudest memories are the ones we never meant to make. A glance, a name, a laugh in the wrong place at the wrong time. They linger, not because we remember them, but because someone else can't forget. This is a story about silence, about the things we say without thinking, and the people we hurt without knowing. It's about a boy who laughed, and the girl who carried that sound for years. It's a story of regret, of a letter never meant to be read, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, it's never too late to listen. Elias remembered the way her voice broke before it ever reached him. In the stillness of the classroom, while everyone else scribbled half-hearted answers or passed folded notes under desks, Serena tried to say her name. Just her name. Serena, she stammered, cheeks flushed, her fingers gripping the hem of her sweater like it might anchor her in place. It should have been just a name. But the silence that followed was louder than it had any right to be. And then came the sound he hated most now, his own laughter. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. But it was enough. Enough to break something small and sacred, and others followed. They always did. At 13, Elias didn't know the weight of moments. He knew how to mimic, to survive, to deflect. His father had taught him silence was safer. His friends had taught him that teasing was a kind of currency. And Serena, well, she had taught him nothing, except how uncomfortable it was to sit next to someone who didn't fight back. She left after winter break. Just disappeared. No goodbye, no announcement, just a new girl in her seat and the smell of fresh paint where her locker used to be. He didn't think of her again for years. Not really. Not until 2 months ago, when he stumbled upon an old internet thread from a now-deleted forum, one of those anonymous write-your-heart places that people used in the late 2010s. And there, nestled between a poem about lost grandparents and a stranger's thoughts on being invisible, was a letter. It started, "To the boy who laughed when I couldn't say my name." Elias hadn't slept well since. Elias read the letter in the dark, phone screen dimmed, blanket pulled over his head like he was 13 again, hiding from the world. Only now, he was hiding from himself. To the boy who laughed when I couldn't say my name. The first line alone felt like it reached into his chest and rearranged something. She had written it anonymously. No last name, no details about where she ended up. But he knew. He knew. Because no one else in his life had that voice. That quiet kind of bravery that cracked but never crumbled. He read it every night for a week. There was no blame in her words, no vengeance, just honesty. So much of it. It hurt. She had written about how small she used to feel, how every stumble in her speech made her shrink further, how his laughter, soft and fleeting, was the thing that echoed longest. But she also wrote about learning to breathe again, about speech therapy and finding music, about a teacher who taught her that not every sentence had to be perfect to be worth saying. Elias hadn't cried in years. He didn't know how. But something about the way she described her silence, like it had become a second skin, made his throat ache. He had carried other things in his life: the weight of expectations, the silence of a father who only spoke in sighs and unfinished sentences, the pressure to be loud enough, strong enough, unbreakable. But guilt was heavier, and it stayed. So, he searched. Old classmates, mutual friends, threads that led nowhere, and usernames that had long since vanished. Until one night, while scrolling through a local community forum, he found a profile. Her profile. She was still Serena, still soft. Only now, her bio read, musician. Words in rhythm feel safer. And beneath it, a link to a small music page, videos of her playing piano, singing quietly into the corner of a room. He clicked play, and the sound of her voice, clear, unshaken, brought the boy he used to be to his knees. He didn't message her right away. He watched every video on her page first, not like a stranger, but like someone trying to remember what kindness looked like on a face he used to ignore. Her voice was still soft, but not afraid anymore. It carried a quiet steadiness, like she had built a home inside herself and no longer needed anyone else's permission to live there. Elias wrote, erased, rewrote. Hey, I think we went to school together. Delete. I found your music. It's beautiful. Delete. I'm sorry. He sent that one. 2 days passed, then 3. He started to think she wouldn't answer, that he didn't deserve an answer. But on the 4th morning, her reply appeared like a whisper in a crowded room. I remember you. Just that. No warmth, no accusation. Just a simple, undeniable truth. They agreed to meet, neutral ground, a coffee shop halfway between his guilt and her forgiveness. When she walked in, he almost didn't recognize her. She stood straighter now, hair longer, eyes quieter, but not unsure. She looked like someone who had built herself from broken pieces and decided not to hide the seams. Hi, he said, rising to meet her. Elias. She nodded, like testing the weight of his name in her mouth. You look the same. He smiled, then stopped. You don't. I know, she said. No bitterness, just fact. The conversation started awkwardly. Small talk spilled into quiet sips of tea, but beneath it, there was static. Not tension, not anger. Just the hum of a history unspoken between them. He wanted to say everything at once. How he remembered the way she shrunk into herself. How he hated the version of himself who laughed. How he had thought about that one moment for years and wished he could cut it out of time. But all he said was, I read your letter. And for the first time since she sat down, she looked at him. Really looked at him. Her voice didn't tremble when she spoke. I wondered if you'd ever find it. I wish I hadn't needed to, he whispered. She folded her hands. But you did. That matters. Outside, people passed like ghosts. Inside, 2 old names sat at a table, trying to remember who they had once been, and who they might be now. They met again a week later. This time, it was her idea. A small park on the edge of town, the one where old trees leaned like they were listening. She brought a thermos of tea, He brought nothing but open hands. They sat on a bench without touching the past. Not yet. They talked about music, about how she found rhythm easier than speech. He talked about how quiet his house had been growing up and how he used noise to cover the cracks. "I used to think you hated me," Serena said suddenly, eyes on the lake. Elias blinked. "I didn't. I hated how I felt next to you." She turned toward him, eyebrows slightly raised. "Why?" "Because you didn't pretend," he said. "You were scared, but you didn't fake being brave. I didn't know how to be that honest." Serena didn't answer right away. A breeze passed through the trees, the kind that made the leaves shiver without falling. She let the silence stretch, let it bloom between them. "I never wanted to make you feel small," he added. His voice was steady, but soft. "But I think I did." She nodded slowly. "You weren't the only one, but yours was the voice I heard the loudest." There was no malice in it, no anger, just truth, laid bare like a stone washed clean by rain. "I'm not asking for anything," he said. "Not forgiveness, not peace. I needed you to know that I remember, that I see it now." Serena traced the rim of her cup with her thumb. "Do you ever wonder who we would have been if it hadn't happened like that?" "All the time," Elias said. She smiled, just a little. "Me too, but I think maybe we're still becoming those people, just in a different way." The wind picked up again, carrying birdsong and faraway laughter. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked. The world went on. But in that moment, Elias felt something loosen in his chest. Not gone, not fixed, just less sharp, less heavy. They didn't say goodbye when they left the park. Just sat a while longer, watching ripples on the water, letting the silence grow, not as something to fear, but something to finally share. It was raining the day she gave it to him, not a storm, just that soft kind of rain that made the streets glisten and everything feel slower, more deliberate. They met at a quiet bookstore cafe. Serena had a folded sheet of paper in her hand, creased and worn at the edges like it had lived in too many pockets. "I never thought I'd show you this," she said, sliding it across the table. Elias stared at it. "Is this—" She nodded. "The original, the one I wrote when I was 15. He hesitated. "Are you sure?" "No," she said gently, "but I want to be." He unfolded the letter. The handwriting was small, uncertain, words pressed close like they were trying not to be seen. "Dear Elias, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if I want you to. But today, I cried in the school bathroom for 30 minutes because I couldn't say my name." He swallowed hard. "I hate that I still hear your laugh when I close my eyes. I hate that I hear it louder than my own voice." Serena looked out the window as he read, her breath fogging the glass. "But I also know. Someday I'll stop hearing it. Someday I'll fill the silence with songs instead. I hope, wherever you go, you learn how to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. Because I think there's a kind person in you. I really do. Goodbye. Serena." Elias folded the letter with trembling hands. He didn't speak at first. Couldn't. The weight of her words felt heavier than anything he'd carried before. But not because they accused him, because they believed in him. "I don't deserve that," he said finally, voice barely there. "No," Serena agreed. "But you've been trying to." He looked at her then, really looked, and saw someone who had bled and bloomed and built something beautiful from what he once broke. "Thank you for letting me hear it," he whispered. She smiled, eyes soft. "I used to think you'd never understand, but now I think you needed time to find your voice too." The rain tapped gently against the window, like the world was clapping without sound. In that moment, Elias knew the past would never fully disappear. But maybe, just maybe, it could stop echoing and start becoming something else. They met one last time, weeks later. Not by accident, but not quite planned either. It was a small open mic night at a corner cafe Serena had mentioned once, her name written in soft script on the flyer by the door. Elias had come alone, unsure if he should stay, unsure if she even wanted him there. But when she stepped onto the stage, guitar in hand, spotlight gentle, she looked straight at him, just for a second, and didn't look away. She didn't introduce herself, didn't speak at all. She simply began to play. The song was slow, almost hesitant, like a memory learning to walk again. Each note was a breath, each lyric a stitch in the space between them. And when she finally sang his name, just once, barely above a whisper, he felt it more than heard it. Not as an accusation, not as a ghost, but as a part of a story that had been rewritten, gently, painfully, honestly. The room faded. The people, the lights, the hum of a coffee machine in the back, all of it disappeared. It was just her voice, and the sound of forgiveness woven through every fragile chord. When the song ended, she bowed slightly, cheeks flushed, but calm. She returned to her seat and didn't look back at the stage. And Elias, sitting in the back row with his hands folded tightly in his lap, whispered her name under his breath. For the first time, he said it right. Not loudly, not perfectly, but with reverence, with care. Serena. There was no applause in him, only quiet, quiet gratitude. He didn't approach her afterward. Some things, he realized, are best left whole and unshaken. As he stepped outside, the night was cool, the sky clear, and for the first time in years, the silence he carried didn't feel heavy. It felt like peace. Your Name, a song I never learned to sing, but now I hum it quietly, in every quiet thing.
I used to laugh to hide the noise of all the cracks I couldn't voice. But in your silence there was true, a sound I didn't learn in you. Your name, I carried it like shame. Now I whisper it in the just a thread rewound, a song you sang without a sound. I never knew a voice so brave could echo what I couldn't say. Your name, a breath I couldn't hold. Now it warms me when I'm cold. I don't ask for you to stay, only hope you walked away unbroken. Serena, I hear you now.